I feel like everybody every year compares a quarterback to Zach Wilson. It's a very easy fallback for a quarterback you don't like, especially a young guy. I have compared J.J. McCarthy to Zach Wilson countless times. And I believe that. I do. I said on Felger, when was I on? On, I think it was Wednesday, Tuesday or Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
I called J.J. McCarthy, Zach Wilson waiting to happen.
Yeah.
I stand by that. If he goes to a bad
I agree.
situation, he's Zach Wilson waiting to happen. So I don't disagree with you that there are some scary things about Drake May's game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. To me, he's more like Daniel Jones-ish
I like that. Yeah.
than Zach Wilson. Just because he's still going to be bigger than everybody, and he's still going to be able to run around. I don't think he's going to lose that, no matter what. But I don't disagree with you that there's some scary things about his game. When you say, are you just looking at the traits, or are you looking at the overall body of work? I look at the upside with it, and I say, well, can they coach those traits into a quarterback? Because 5 years ago, I would have been so out on Drake May, because I never really believed in that guy. And then Justin Herbert happened, and then Josh Allen happened, and even there's a little bit of Patrick Mahomes in there, and just these guys in college that kind of ran around dipsy-do, throwing the ball 65 yards regularly. And I feel like the NFL has done a decent job of turning that guy into a quarterback. So for me with Drake May, when you say, what are you looking at? I say, I look at a couple of guys that looked very similar in college that I didn't believe in, but became very good NFL quarterbacks. And it's, well, clearly there's something there. Like, I'm not going to totally write that guy off now, because I was writing that guy off for a long time, and I was wrong multiple times.
Yeah, and what I will say, I mentioned this yesterday when I was on again.
Yeah.
If he lands to them, then so be it. I'm not going to be upset and angry, like, oh my God, that's it, they blew it. Wait, here we go again. Wait till next year, get another one. No, like I said, with all these guys, if he comes in, okay, now the coaching staff, the quarterback coach, the head coach, coordinator, they have to get him up to speed. Excuse me. Now they have to do their job and develop this kid. They have to get those kinks out, so now he can become, Justin Herbert, or become what we saw Josh Allen turn into after 3 years in the league.
Right.
Because early Josh Allen, we hated him.
It was gross,
Well,
yeah.
Some guys still hate him, but
That's true.
I still hate
Some
the fact
people
that
don't think he's really changed.
No, not at all.
He just got Stephon Diggs.
There you go. Stephon Diggs changed a lot of it.
But to your point, so go get Drake May his Stephon Diggs.
There it is. Thank you.
And this is, but here's the thing. People use that as a knock, that this guy, he needs to be coached up, and he's going to need people around him. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, they all do.
They all do. The idea that you're going to get a quarterback.
Caleb Williams is going to need the right situation in Chicago, or he's going to be another failed Chicago quarterback.
C.J. Stroud is the exception to the rule. What happened with C.J. Stroud, you can't bank on that. That's best case scenario. But that also doesn't mean it's that or bust. And yes, you need to develop the guy. You need to grow the guy. That's where they went wrong last time. Your quarterback's not supposed to have his best season as a rookie. You don't want him to have his best season as a rookie. We saw what that looks like, right? And I feel like there's this idea that the 2024 Patriots roster is going to be the group the guy has to work with his whole career, because, again, we just saw that.
Yeah.
That's not how it should go.
Yeah.
You should be building around the guy, both in terms of development, in terms of coaching him up, and you should be putting talent around him. And that's why I don't necessarily disagree with you. Zach Wilson's a little far. I would say that for me personally with Drake May. I get what you're saying.
But real quick, just with that, with the Zach Wilson part, the comparison I was making with him, just to kind of clarify a little bit, was not what kind of NFL quarterback he's going to turn into. It was the way Zach Wilson kind of came out of nowhere and was like, oh, no, this is the guy. That kid at BYU is the one. And the hype kind of grew around him, and he just exploded and became, a top-tier pick.
Right.
And I think with Drake May, it was kind of like, I didn't really see the turning point that said, hey, man, that dude at UNC. And it just kind of grew and grew and grew until it was like an automatic. Oh, yeah, he's a top 5 pick in the NFL draft. That's the comparison to him. I don't know what kind of NFL quarterback he's going to be.
Yeah.
I didn't know what kind of NFL quarterback Zach Wilson was going to be. I thought he was going to be way better than he is now. But that's the part I was comparing to Zach Wilson was the college, the hype part as opposed to the NFL play.
See, it's funny. That's still exactly to a T how I feel about J.J. McCarthy.
Oh yes,
Exactly.
They talked him up.
Where did this all come from? What am I? And I don't even necessarily think he's a terrible prospect. But,
yeah, but what game did you see that said
right,
that's a franchise guy?
Third overall. Like now, Zach Wilson had the Coastal game. J.J. McCarthy doesn't have the equivalent of that, and that was a major red flag for me. So you can go find it. It's somewhere. I don't think I was part-time here, so I don't know that I was writing about non-Patriots targets as much, and we knew pretty early that Zach Wilson was going to go second overall that year. Zach Wilson was my 7th quarterback in that draft.
You were right.
Or 6th, because there's Lawrence, and this isn't in order. I'm just trying to remember the name. Or I think it was Lawrence, Fields, Jones, Lance, and then I had Kyle Trask, and then I had Zach Wilson, so 6. Yeah, because I had him ahead of Kellen Mond. 6.
And with Mac Jones, I wasn't really a big fan of him, but then I watched him play the national championship game. I think Waddle was hurt, running back was hurt, left tackle went out in that game early, and I'm like, man, Alabama's. I got to admit, I wanted Alabama to lose so bad. And then this quarterback comes up with all these injuries, and he's out there destroying the NFL defense. And I'm like, yo, this dude is pretty good. I had no idea he was going to be a Patriot, and he was lighting them up. I said, okay, there's something there with him. And to me, that was one of his Mac Jones's games. You know, that showed some. Drake May had a game, I believe, last year against Notre Dame. He had like 5 touchdowns. Yeah. So he's had big games against big opponents.
Let me ask you this. In terms of developing Drake May, and it could be any of these guys. I think the same could be said for Jane Daniels. Definitely if they draft J.J. McCarthy, absolutely. The quarterback may need to sit. May need to sit for a whole year. A lot of people have talked about that, and I've been very strong in my take that I don't necessarily agree with that, but if that's the plan, if you plan this whole offseason around sitting the quarterback for a full year, you have to do it. You have to commit to that plan. You don't get to, we're not going to focus on the offensive line this year because the quarterback's not going to play anyway. So we'll add the receivers. We'll get the offensive line next year. We'll let Jacoby Brissett take the shots. But you're 2-6 at Halloween, and Jacoby Brissett's hurt, and Bailey Zappi's throwing picks left and right, and the fans are getting anxious. You can't change your mind then and put the quarterback in. So the quarterback may have to sit for a full year. Do you think that's going to impact how the fans view him? Do you think that's going to impact how the fans buy in?
Yes. I think it's going to impact everything. And I think in today's NFL, not just the Patriots, I don't know how many coaches have the ability to sit a full season and just throw anybody out there. Coaches get fired too quickly, too easily. And if I'm on this Patriot staff, I don't know if I can stomach or have the nerve to sit there and just throw out some backups and just wait until next year. Just skip the season.
Do you think Robert Kraft would one and done Gerard Mayo?
That's the thing. That's the big question to me.
I don't think so. If he has
it from Kraft, I don't think so.
The way the whole thing went in terms of they skipped the interview process and it was written in his contract that he was the next guy and all of that. And Kraft goes out there at the press conference, right, and says, I trusted my instinct when I hired Bill Belichick, and I trusted my instinct in this decision, right? If he then one and done's Mayo, that's a rough look.
That's tough.
And I'm with you. Like, I think a lot of coaches won't do it because they're worried about their job. I think maybe Elliot Wolf put some pressure on because we got that reporting out of the combine that, he's kind of not a lame duck GM, but like they still may hire a GM. This might not ultimately end up being his show. He may put some pressure on to be like, look, I drafted the right quarterback, but I'd be very surprised even if sitting a quarterback, Gerard Mayo got one and done. Now, if they do that, they come out year 2 and they stink with the new quarterback. Maybe he doesn't make it through year 2. But I don't see a one and done for Gerard Mayo. I think that would be very reactionary by Robert Kraft.
That'd be tough. But you're going to be down there at training camp. Fans are going to be there for the most part. Preseason games. What if this kid, whoever they take, is out there just lighting it up? Do you think the fans, yourself, can just sit around and be like, they're just a decent quarterback away, and this kid is just shining in preseason games and in practices and at camp? Will the pressure of media and fans just say, force their hand and force them into throwing this kid out there?
So for me personally, I think here's how I'd react to that. I would say, all right, he looks really good in practice. When there's a live pass rush, are they going to be able to give him time? And if he's going to get the crap beat out of him behind the offensive line, I'd say all the more reason to wait You have something here. You don't necessarily want to ruin him like you ruined the last guy by putting him out there behind an offensive line that can't give him any time.